My name is Jess, and this is Knitting on Sweater Avenue. This is normally a podcast where I talk about what I'm working on and what I've bought and how it's going and any mocks, like hacks I have done. But today I wanted to talk about my summer knitting plans. It is the end of November. I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I guess I count summer as December, Jan, Feb. Obviously in Australia it's around that time, but I know I feel like in Australia I would have said it's pretty common that our seasons are just months, like dependent on month in the year, but I've definitely heard people in other places probably be more specific about like when it is rather than like the calendar date. But yeah, I would count summer from December 1st, and I have a lot of projects that I would like to get done. If you've seen any of my recent videos, you would know that I'm trying to finish my current whips before the end of the year. So realistically, I won't get any of these started before January, although maybe Christmas, we'll see. But I have to admit that one of the projects on my summer knitting plans I have already cast on, so it's already in the works. We're getting there. I will show you what it looks like when I get to it, which means I have to grab it. So one moment and then I will get started. Okay, so I will start, and I have got my iPad here with all of I've got like the Ravelry things for all of the projects I want to do, because for the most part I don't have the patterns yet, because I tend to find that if I buy a pattern I'll cast it on, but then like if I buy a pattern without the yarn ready to cast it on, then I won't knit it. It's kind of interesting. But my first one, which I've already started, is using this Knitting for Olive Pure Silk that I got given for my birthday from my family in deep petroleum blue, and I am knitting dress number 1. So I'm going to try and do some specs. So deep petroleum blue, Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, it is 250 meters in 50 grams. I have 10 skeins, and I am going to knit dress number 1. Dress number 1 goes from an extra small to a 4XL, which corresponds to, in centimeters, a 72 to a 125 centimeter bust. And I have already started. Alright, I am knitting between the size small and medium, so between the second and third size. I actually have not got that much progress, but I'm working, it's top down in the round, and I am doing the sleeve increases at the moment. Partly relating to the fact that I have so many knits on the go, I put in stitch markers at every new instruction. So I guess similar to the way I count my decrease rows on my sleeves. And it just helps me work out where I'm at in the pattern. So for example, I know that for whatever the instruction I'm at, I can count the rows below this stitch marker to work out how I'm going or whether I need to do something else. But I've got a while to go on this one. So yeah, I only have just a little sort of slightly more than nothing, but not a lot more. I am absolutely stoked. It's feeling soft. It's kind of interesting knitting with silk. I haven't done any of that before. I've used a few other summer fibers, but this is my first this is my first silk. I've used hemp and linen and stuff like that, but never this. So yeah, I am actually using my Chowgu needles, which I don't use very often, but I thought they would be good for this material. I only have the like mid-length ones, but I'm using a 4.5mm needle, and then I have the swivel cable. You really can't tell, but I am swiveling it and it's swiveling, and I almost exclusively use swivel cables. I really love them. I just think they're fantastic. Yeah, that is my first plan and the only one I have cast on. But I am just, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've never knit a dress, and I think if I could have that ready by Christmas, that would be amazing, but I don't know. I've been looking at all of my whips and how they're going, so we'll see. Pending on that front. All right, The one that I think I will cast on, like of my plans that I will cast on first. I'll start with a pattern and then I'll tell you about the yarn. So the pattern is the Book Club cardigan, and I will also endeavour to put pattern pics in. So it's the Book Club cardigan by Sari Nordland. It is so she knits it on a 4mm needle for the body. I've heard lots of things about Sari Nordland's sizing or gauge, I think, being a bit rogue, so I will have to gauge swatch. And the finished bust circumference goes from 95 centimeters to 175 centimeters, including 20 centimeters of positive ease. I think that I have worked out that I'll again be between the second and third size. I don't actually have enough yarn, I don't think. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the yarn I am going to use is looking a bit rough. So it is these two. I'll start with the one which I have more information about. This is the Concept by Katya Mohair 50 Shades. I've never used it before, but I have wanted to for a while. I like the idea of trying new mohairs. And I bought this from, I'm going to have to remember. It is I think they mostly do yarn shows and online shopping, but I found out that like they have a studio, like a 10-minute bike ride from my house. So I just went rogue last week and rode to their studio. I feel like it's Lola Lovegood, something like that. Anyway, I will work out what it is and put it in. So yeah, it's the Concept by Katya 50 Shades. I got the color 3, and this one is 67% mohair, 30% polyamide, 3% wool. I didn't realize that it's not a silk mohair. Interesting. Okay. I think I am going to try and put prices in as well. Pretty sure I spent these two are 16 Australian dollars a skein. What would you call this? 16 Australian dollars for one of these. And I think I will need 5. I only picked up 2 because I only had 2 at the time. But I will pick up more once I actually need them. I'm not too worried about colour matching because, as I said, it's the mohair. 20 grams is 200 meters was the information I wanted from that one. This one is the Middleton Croft 4-ply. And I bought this at a place called the Elfin Tea Rooms in Scotland when I was there on a trip recently. And I am fairly certain that so it was run by an Australian, which was hilarious, but I am fairly certain that this was just yarn that she has gotten spun from her sheep that she shears, which I thought was so cool. So I have 3 skeins of this. It's a 4-ply yarn, 100 gram skeins. I will check how much I spent, but I believe they were 40 Australian dollars each, which brings my total, I guess right now, 120, 152. And it does have an email on here, middletoncroft@gmail.com. And so she said that you can email to, I guess, order it. This color was, this one doesn't have a color on it, but I think it was it's like a mid-gray. And it's just like, I had already bought all the yarn I needed to buy, more than on this trip, but I saw this and it was just so exciting. And then the Book Club cardigan I thought would be perfect for this. So yeah, strictly speaking, the cardigan says that it needs 880 meters for the smallest size. But looking at the way she has styled it and done it, I would want a much more cropped cardigan, so I'm hoping that will be okay, and I don't want pockets. So hopefully those will use up a bit less yarn, but I will just have to see how I go with these two. I just love them. I think this is so cool, and I am very happy with the color match. So if I hold it up like that, you can sort of see them next to each other, but they're I went in person. That was like the whole thing. I wanted to go in person to compare this. So I put this in my little bag, rode all the way over there just to compare all the different mohair shades, because I have had some recent mohair orders that didn't look the way I wanted them to look, which is no one's fault except my own. And so I wanted to be certain. But yes, that is plan, I guess sort of plan number 2, but will be cast on number 1, I think. And yeah, I'm so excited about that. It's going to be sick. All right, and I'm just going to have some tea. Okay, slight hiatus to work out where I was at, but the next pattern plan that I want to talk about is the Lusk tee by Rebecca Klee. This is a fingering or DK weight t-shirt. It's sort of similar to her Tolster tee that I've seen a lot of people knit, but I think, to be honest, there's something about the neckline of the Tolster tee that I don't know about. So when she started talking about the Lusk tee, I thought this is definitely more up my style. This is, let me just grab the fingering. I will be knitting the B-cup version, and so it goes from a 70 centimeter to a 170 centimeter bust. And I bought 4 balls of the Holst Garn Coast. So this is a 55% lamb's wool, 45% cotton in 50 gram balls. It's 50 grams is 350 meters. So I'm planning to hold it double for a fingering weight. I bought this from a yarn shop in Canberra called The Makery, which is now in Fishwick. And I bought it, I think, when I was in Canberra. So my parents live in Canberra, so I go there on the reg. But I bought it when I was visiting to go to the Australian Yarn Show, because why not? I was in the mood to spend money on yarn. The colour that I have gone with is Agnete, and I think I was deciding between this and Old Gold, which is 2 of the colours. These come to 15 Australian dollars each, and I bought 4, so that's $60, which I always say that I don't save money on yarn. I'm never saving money by knitting my own stuff because I like to spend my money on expensive yarn. But for a nicely made t-shirt, I would say $60 is actually pretty good. Like, assuming that I'm paying, well, obviously I'm not paying myself for labor, but if one was being paid for labor, then I think that's not too bad. So yeah, that is this one. Have I knit any of Rebecca's? Yeah, so I have knit one of her cardigans, the stripy one, but I think I didn't check my gauge, so the gauge is a bit off. So I've at least temporarily given that one to my sister to see if she likes it. And I have knit a hack of the Rue sweater, but I don't know. I'm starting to think I've never actually properly followed one of her patterns like the way you should. But this is not the only one in this roundup. So there, that is the next one I want to cast on. It'll just be a simple fingering weight tee. I've actually never knit a tee before. I've knit a bunch of tanks, but I do like a tank in summer. And it is true that even with a cotton wool blend, wearing a knitted top in summer in Australia is not really the go. But I don't think that if I'm knitting this in summer, it'll be finished. And I think for autumn, it'll be okay. I like the colour. And also my office is not freezing, like it's pretty all right, but I think I would be okay in a knitted t-shirt. And they're pretty chill, so I could definitely, like, there's no risk of anyone caring if I'm wearing this. So that's good. So yes, that's the one that I'm knitting. I haven't thought too much about what I might do, like whether I do double knitted ribbing or anything like that. I guess I was going to start here and see how I went, but I am excited to cast this one on. So that will probably come maybe next. It'll sort of depend how everything's going. And the last plan, sorry, I'm not very used to this. I don't normally make plans videos because I don't really normally have plans. I normally just knit what I want when I want, but I want to try and use up a bit more of my yarn stash. I don't really want to have one. I don't think I have a massive one, but as my fiance pointed out, it is starting to be in a few different places around our house, and that is something that I both don't want, and the easiest way to solve that problem is to knit it up. So the last one that I have yarn for, and there are a couple that I don't have yarn for. I think I'm going to do a hack. But let me pull all these yarns out and show you. Okay, well that was harder than I thought. Let me start by setting the scene, actually. Sorry. So, I was looking at yarn that I wanted to buy. I really wanted to knit a colorwork sweater. Now, I've knit colorwork sweaters. I've knit a colorwork sweater before. I've knit the Celine sweater by Anne Bensel. I've knit a few colorwork things, and I've knit stripes, but that's in a whole different thing. But I wanted one which was like colorful. And so I was looking on Ravelry, and I came onto the Klee sweater by Midori Hirose. Now this sweater is, let me double check. So yeah, so it goes from a finished bust circumference from a 71 centimeter to 169 centimeter bust. But I just am really worried about, like I'm not that worried. It's not keeping me up. But one of the things that concerns me is trying to see whether or not it has short row shaping or anything to stop the neck from doing the circular yoke like thing. I mean, this one doesn't because it's not a circular yoke. And the one main Paul Klee sweater that inspired my whole shop is the Paul Klee sweater by a user named AMC2375. And I will put pictures of them in here as well. It's a sort of they do a gradient, and it's got like, it's sort of like a chunkier, they're like chunkier 1x1 of the Rebecca Klee Kintra sweater, which is a pattern I already have. And that falls into the category of patterns I've bought but have not used. And so what I've been thinking is that I might use the Kintra sweater pattern, but hack it to do the colorwork bands of the Paul Klee sweater, because they're the same. I think they're the same length. They're just, the Kintra sweater is 1x1 and the Paul Klee sweater looks like it's about 4x4 or 5x5 or something like that. And so then I have been trying to work out how, because the slightly complicated thing about colorwork and the yoke is that you're increasing, and so obviously it's not, you can't just like match it all the way down. I am not doing a very good job of explaining this. I'm hoping that the pictures I'm putting in are helping, but the gist is I'm going to use this yarn to knit a hack between the Paul Klee sweater and the Kintra sweater, because I do believe that Rebecca Klee does a great job of shaping, and that's the part of that I want, so I'm going to match that. But the yarn I am using, let me get all my colors together so that I can show you, is that all of them? Oh no, they're falling down. This is the yarn I have. These are all, and my main color is going to be this. This is the Kinross 4-ply by We County Yarns, and this one is in granite. And then I have many of their contrast colors, but the last one that I'm gonna join is this one, which is not a Kinross 4-ply, so I'll mention that briefly. This is the Exmoor Sock Quick Beam, in the color, maybe Quick Beam is the color. And it's a 60% Exmoor Blueface, 20% Corriedale, which are both superwash, 10% Zwartbles, and 10% nylon. And this is a John Arvin Textiles yarn. Oh, I didn't realize. That's kind of cool. Anyway, so this is a 50 grams is 200 meters, and that's that one. And that, I just wanted that, I was looking for sort of the color. And then, but the end, yeah, this is my main color. Oh, I'm so excited about this. But, I'm dropping yarns. So, Kinross 4-ply, if I just talk about that for a second, is basically, as far as I can tell, it's a favorite yarn of many people, including the Cray Bear, Rebecca Klee. My main color I'm going to go with is granite. My contrast colors are Highland cow, pewter, otter, Scots pine, Inverary, glen, porridge. I'm going to put them down and hold up some of the ones. Quartz, tablet. I couldn't get a small one of tablet. Snowdrop. And I am also going to use... Where is that? I have one more. Hold. What is this? I have already used this. I also need to sneeze. Oh my goodness. I'm falling apart over here. This was what I used for a jumper that I already knit, and I held it double. And I can't remember what color it is, but it is a Kinross 4-ply. So, I bought... What did I buy? So I bought these ones. So the granite and the tablet I bought from Ginger Twist in Edinburgh when I was there. And the Exmoor sock. And how much did I spend on them? I will work that out. Hold. Okay. I just wanted to work out where I was at. So, where was I? It ended up being that I bought all of the main color and this shade tablet and the Exmoor from Ginger Twist, and for them they were $9.50 for each of the pounds. I'm just gonna do in pounds and then calculate to Australian dollars later, but it was £9.50 for each of the Kinross 4-plies and £12 for the Exmoor sock. And then I ended up ordering all the minis from Great British Yarns and getting them shipped to my friend's place who I was meeting while I was there, and that meant I got free shipping. And so these were 3.5 pounds each for each of these little mini 20-gram skeins. And so all up, total I spent was £104, which is $210. So that's how much this one has cost. And it's a bit scary when you start doing that maths, because I bought it with other things and I just don't normally think about it, but I want to start being a bit more deliberate about that. I am so stoked with how this is going to go. I think it's going to look absolutely sick, and I'm really excited to try. I do like doing things like working out, calculating, taking this pattern and these things and like putting it together into what I want. I'm pretty confident in terms of like gauge and maths and that kind of thing, so I'm not too worried. And also, it's knitting. If it doesn't work, you just rip it out. Like, it's not that deep sometimes. So yes, that is how much that's cost, what I'm going to do with that. And then my last two potential cast-ons are two that they've been milling around in my mind, but I am, at the moment, I want to use up some more of my yarns. But these are sort of knits that I would say these are project knits. What is it called? There are knits that you do because you want they're process knits and project knits. Yeah, so these are project knits. And the first one is a pattern I've used before. So it's the April cardigan by Petite Knit. I knit this previously in Knitting for Olive Merino and Fibre Spates Cumulus, both in their like blacker than black color. And it is such a workhorse. I wear it so frequently. The black is fantastic. It's so soft because of the Surrey alpaca. And it's honestly one of my top favorite and most successful knits. Now, I don't calculate cost per wear because I don't ever write down when I'm wearing things, but I reckon I wear that once a week, if not more. Wear it to the office. It works with other things. I'm a pretty colourful dresser in general, and so having the little black cardigan works just like a charm. So on that note, I would really like to knit another one in red. I bought some more Fiber Splates Cumulus. I bought it in the color ruby red, I think, and it came, and it's fine. It is just much. I'm looking for more like pillar boxy, like classic red, and I think I just need to buy it in person. So if I can get some of this stuff sorted out, then I will endeavor to find somewhere I can go in person. I think that I am probably going to knit it with some combination of Isager mohair and Sanders Garn Sunday or Knitting for Olive mohair. I used the Isager recently with Sanders Garn Sunday, and it's so soft and so lovely. Those soft, light, gorgeous sweaters, I love it. And so that is what I am thinking. Now, the specs, so the April cardigan goes from oh no, that's not right. That's the design to fit. Come on. The bust circumference goes from a 91 centimeters to 158 centimeters. That's the final garment measurement. I know that my previous one, I used 4 skeins of the merino and I used 6 of Fiber Splates Cumulus, but I'll be using a different one. So that's by the by. So for me, this is a pretty normally I would use, I think, at least 6 skeins of Knitting for Olive merino. So this is a pretty light on. And I already have the pattern, so that cost is done. And so this one's definitely been one that I've been thinking about for a while. I know I want the red. I feel like I know how it can fit into the wardrobe. I keep putting together outfits and like thinking about how, it would be great if I had a red cardigan for this, etc. So that is one that it's on the cards. When I find some time and find some space and work on that, I'll get into it. Oh, you know what I didn't mention for this? I'm knitting the fingering weight version. For the Kinross, I want to knit the fingering weight, partly because I've got plenty of projects. I've got plenty of jumpers, and if it takes me a bit longer and then I end up with a lighter weight sweater, I feel like that's good to like juxtapose in amongst. I have some of these other chunkier mohair sweaters, and I feel like a bit of the difference is really good. So I didn't mention that, but that is important. And last but not least, we started with a bunch of different designs and we're finishing pretty petite knit heavy. I really want to knit the Agnete cardigan, Agnete. This is another petite knit cardigan. I love my sweaters. And I don't love all of them. I've just given 2 to my sister, but I really like wearing a sweater. We've had a very cold November. I have no complaints. Everyone else is like, oh, it's horrible how cold it is. Nah, if I can wear these jumpers, I'm happy. But a cardigan sometimes just works. You can see what's underneath. Anyway, I would like to knit like a blue cardigan, but this is one of the things that's holding me back is I'm really specific about the blue. So I want it to be quite a bright blue. None of these, let me grab this other one. I'm throwing things everywhere, but this is almost the color. This is a bit variegated and I only have 1 skein, so this is not really going to work, but this is like ballpark the color I want to go for. And I think that would be so cool. I am happy. I'm sort of flexible on which yarns. I'm flexible on whether I do it like I held 2 things together or I hold 1 thing by itself. But I want a blue brioche cardigan. I've never knit brioche before. One of my friends, I don't know if she finished a jumper for her brother or just started it. And she was like, when you do an increase, you obviously have to increase by 2 stitches because it's this it's not a rib. Well, it's sort of a rib, but you need to increase for both sides. And now I know that. So I feel like I'm ready to knit a brioche. And again, as I was sort of mentioning with this, I'm happy for a few of my projects to take a bit longer. I think I am in a space where I think I could slow down a bit on my making. I have heaps of sweaters. I do not need to finish 12 sweaters a year because that's unhinged and I don't know what I would do with them, and if that works for other people, it's totally awesome. And it's definitely hard when you're watching these like sort of these people, designers who manage to knit, or designers or people who use their YouTube channel as their source of income. Obviously it makes more sense for them to be knitting more than me, who has a completely unrelated source of income and does not have the space for the number of sweaters to be increasing like this. And I feel like I came out of uni and then it was like, oh, I'm earning actual money. I can spend my money on yarn. I can work out, you got to work out what you like, what you don't like. I've knit a few things that haven't worked. I'm also big on ripping out projects and re-knitting them. And so I feel like I can distill down to what I want more and I can spend more time on it. And I think I noticed, I think it's Sarah from Two Pearls in a Pod talked about doing a few more things like that, and I think I agree. Like that's what I want. And that is what I'm going to try and do. On the flip side, sometimes I just want to cast something on and finish something quickly. So I think it's a balance and you have to work it out for yourself, what works for you. But yes, those are all of my summer plans. I think, I hope, like, in my mind, ideally, once I have cleared my needles a little bit, I have a bit more flexibility about what I want to cast on. I can have the time to work on things, and I do like having sort of a stockinette project that's just in around that I can take to the movies or take in the car, or stuff where I can chat really easily and not have to think about it at all. But then equally, sometimes you want something which is a bit, you've got something to actually think about. Like this, I'm working on a Moby sweater for my partner at the moment, and sometimes it's sick to like, I just want to get to the next cable, I just want to see how this goes, etc. And so I like having a mixture of projects, and I feel like I've got a bit of a mixture here with some colorwork, some brioche, some cabling, that's the word I'm looking for, and some stockinette. So I'm looking forward to trying getting these things done probably in the new year. I hope you're having a great week. I am going to try and get this out later this week, and so hopefully it'll come out before December. So hope you've got fun plans for December. I'm trying to just like cool it down, work on a bit less. I guess it's our summer, so our social events seem to go through the roof, which is lovely but tiring and means less time for knitting, but I think that's cool too. So hope you're having a great day, a great week. And if you've got any sick plans, or you think I should do something else with any of my knits, let me know. With any of my yarns, I'd be open to suggestions. But yeah, I hope you're having a great one, and I will see you next time. Bye.